5 foreign national students belonging to Nigeria fell victim to a mob after the mob suspected them to be alleged drug peddlers. While the men are now scared to reside in India, they now seek justice and demand an explanation and a reason behind such an assault.
We saw some Indians running towards us, and my brother told me, Jones, you start running.
They was using something like rod or something, I don't know, something like knife to stab me, used to hit me in my shoulder.
Of gangs and mobs of Indians where they are attacking Africans and beating them up wherever they see them. At the moment, about 10 African students have been beaten and their cars destroyed. Even today, I'm getting an information that they will be going house to house to search for Africans and beat them up.
Whatever needs to be done under law with a proper investigation shall be done. The Chief Minister has already indicated to the authorities. At the same time, the central government has also sought for a report.
आए दिन ये नाइजीरियन जो है इस तरह की हरकतें करते रहते हैं। ये सड़क पे गाड़ी खड़ी करके दारू पीते हैं, नाचते हैं, शोर मचाते हैं। इनको कोई टोकता है तो उसके साथ मारपीट करते हैं।
हम एक भारतीय नागरिक अगर किसी देश में जाते हैं, एक दिन वीजा एक्सपायर होती है तो हमें अरेस्ट कर लिया जाता है। यहाँ पे लॉट ऑफ हंड्रेड हैं, जितने भी डीलर हैं जो डॉलर एक्सचेंज करते हैं, सबको पता है कि इनका वीजा एक्सपायर है।
Is India a racist country? It's a very simple question, and I suspect has a very simple answer. We've been talking about attacks on northeastern students who live in Bangalore. And now we're talking about attacks on African nationals who are studying in our various cities. The responses we've heard from various people, including the ones we just played for you on your screen, would suggest that there is a very, very deep-seated bias against the African nationals. That they beat people up, that they're drug dealers, that they drink in their cars in Delhi. I'm surprised that any young man in Delhi would accuse any other young man in Delhi of drinking in their cars. We know that's quite rampant across that entire city. But the question that we're asking is this: how did we wind up here, where African national students, and I'll remind you that most of them or some of them are PhD students, have been told by an association of African students, do not leave your homes in Delhi because it's not safe. Stay indoors. And this is not the first time it's happening. It's happened in Bangalore. It's happened in several other cities. Are we a racist country? That's the question we're asking this evening. Joining me on the show, Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, Swapnil Kothari, Senior Lawyer in Mumbai. Two students from Bangalore who will join us through the course of the conversation. Sudhakar Suradkar, former IPS in Mumbai, and we also have joining us right now Krishnasagar Rao of the BJP and Nagaraj Yadav, panelist for the Congress. I want to welcome all of you to the show right now. Swapnil Kothari, I'll start with you. We've had several cases, and I just want to refresh the memory of our viewers as to what happened in Delhi. For those of you who don't know why this happened, on the 24th of March, a 17-year-old young boy went missing in the NSG Society in Greater Noida. His family thought that the students, the African students who lived next door, had taken him away. They filed a complaint with the police. The young man showed up the next day outside his own home. He had obviously been taking drugs. The family asked the cops to arrest the Nigerian students. The young man then passed away in hospital from an overdose of drugs. The police arrested the students and then let them off from a lack of evidence. There was then a protest that started asking for those students to be arrested again. The protest got violent. It attacked, brutally attacked, other African nationals who had nothing to do with any of this. Two young men who've spoken to reporters all day today, which you can see in your screen right now. The two young men who are being beaten up mercilessly. And you will see also in the video that someone picks up a large steel garbage can and beats these two young men with it. These two people were just out shopping. They have absolutely nothing to do with the case that is being discussed or the protest that was taking place in Delhi at the time. All they had to do with it. The only thing they had in common with any of it was that they were African. It was the color of their skin, and we should be shocked. We should be shocked that this is the conversation we're having this evening. Swapnil Kothari, is India a racist country?
Well, I think from this example which we are all seeing, I mean, it's a deplorable example of and smacks of nothing but racism, because it's based on the color of the skin. And it's called as what we would call it as a hate crime, simply because it's some sort of a bias, some sort of preconceived bias that we have against a certain nationality. That if they're, the color of the skin is black, or if they hail from the African nations, then they are possibly drug peddlers. And this is something which, I have strong reservations with or against, for the simple reason that this is a country which is, gaining international accolades, and should we be an international destination, which we are shortly going to be, or are in the process, and we are going to be, and we would like to be, and that we are having so many foreigners coming in this country, then I think we need to at least ensure that these basic security of their life and limb is taken care of.
Yes, I just want to bring in, I know that Krishnasagar Rao can't stay too long, but Krishnasagar Rao, who represents the BJP, my question to you is very simple. We would like to portray ourselves, like Swapnil pointed out, as a global country that welcomes all nationalities, that wants to build business. How do we continue to do that if this is the kind of hate crime and racist crime we're seeing happen in our streets?
BJP strongly denounces and decries the violence which has happened, and it's unfortunate. Like all crimes, it's not something which any civilized society will agree upon or welcome it. So we strongly denounce it. Now there is an ongoing investigation happening by the UP police, and already the government has reacted, and one of the ministers, Sudhakar Singh, has already spoken on behalf of the government, and the police have already spoken. There is an ongoing investigation. So we don't know the nature of the crime which has happened. So it is, I advise caution, because we cannot make statements which are completely unfounded and doesn't have a basis, because the investigation hasn't complete. We cannot presume that this is a racial attack just because the foreigners are involved, because we are also living across the world, and we also are
Krishnasagar Rao, 500 people attacked two boys.
Let me complete.
Who were shopping.
Please. I'm not saying it cannot be a hate crime, but I'm only advising caution, because until unless it is proven as a hate crime, all attacks on foreign nationals necessarily need not be hate crimes, if you understand the definition of a hate crime. And going by the first question you raised, that is India a racist country? Absolutely not, ma'am. It is not a racist country, because for thousands of years, even before the formation of the Republic, we have been a very heterogeneous country. We all live in coexistence, and even the NCRB records show that if you really go ahead and compare the records of the hate crimes of United States, if you want to take that, because that's also a very big heterogeneous country, the average is about 17,900 hate crimes annually, and 3,000 are serious crimes, and about 10% or 15% of them are murders. Now, if you compare that to the NCRB statistics, I think there are some senior IPS officers here, the racial or discriminatory crimes in terms of the bias of the foreigners is extremely low and negligible. These are all isolated incidents, and I once again plead with you, let's not abuse our own nation's image by saying that are we racist. The question is fine, but I'm just saying we are not racist at all.
No, but that's a very good point. That's a very good point you're making.
I just want to make one more point.
Yes.
MEA, because I'm not going to stay through. The minister, Sushma Swaraj, has, because the foreigners are involved, and we want to really give the priority and ensure that the investigation is speeded up. She's spoken, while it is just an incident which can happen anywhere in the world, MEA has taken it up with the CM of UP. So you can understand the kind of priority we give when the attacks are on the foreigners. So kindly give it time, and the able force of Uttar Pradesh police force, they will come up with the outcomes in a day or two, and will tell you whether the nature of the crime is hate crime. If it is a hate crime, it has to be denounced, and all the culprits who are, all the offenders have to be booked and prosecuted.
And a formal apology must go to the Nigerian Commission from Sushma Swaraj. That's what I would think. That would be in order.
100%. I agree with you. If at all it's a hate crime, then there has to be.
But how do we establish that it's a hate crime? So when we say, so Swapnil, help me here. When we say it may or may not be a hate crime, and the evidence that we're looking at right now on our screens, 500 people beat up, two boys who were shopping. How do we establish whether or not that was a hate crime?
I think some of the, first of all, I would cross-examine the people who beat them up, and I would ask them that why did you beat these guys up? And from what they would say in their testimony would reveal ample clues as to why did they beat them up. Even if one sentence to the effect that, because these people are presumed to be drug peddlers or something of that nature, that itself shows me that it's a bias crime, it's a hate crime, it is something which I have leveled against someone because of the color of their skin or because of the nationality that they come from. So that is something which is absolutely reprehensible. Just as one or two examples, Faye, what happened in Hobart in Australia just now, where an Indian parked his car or something like that, there was an attack on him. And there have been previous examples in this country itself that a Congolese was beaten to death some 2-3 years ago. So these are all instances of racial discrimination.
Yeah, absolutely, and I want to bring in here Bosco, who joins us right now in Bangalore. Bosco is the legal advisor to the Association of African Students in India. Bosco, thank you for joining us. And the question we are asking is very, very simple: is India racist against African nationals? And Mr. Krishnasagar Rao, who has unfortunately left this conversation, pointed out that we'll find out whether or not it's a hate crime. My question to you, Bosco, is there a reluctance in calling hate crimes? Because then the statistics will not support what Krishnasagar Rao is saying. He says, where are the statistics? We don't have those hate crimes in India. Is there a reluctance on the part of the police to call a spade a spade?
Well, I would like to say that it is a shameful act that Africans being attacked in this country, when actually Africa has welcomed the multiple Indian people in Africa. They have land, they have all property. The problem is that in the Indian society, they fail to call a spade a spade. Whenever there is an attack, they give it a different name: hate crime, this and that. We have to call a spade and then come up with a solution and alternative to the problem. We don't want to be a problem in this country. We feel very bad that the innocent people are being hit. Whenever Indians are attacked in the United States, whenever they are attacked in South Africa, or whenever they are attacked wherever they are in Australia, the Indians tend to put the anger and put it out on Africans. They have never hit an American. How many Americans have been beaten? How many British have been beaten? In fact, if Americans kill the Indians will put a red carpet for them to walk. They will come and turn their anger against the African nation, which is totally wrong. Why they don't beat up the Italians? Why they don't beat up the Germans? Look at the whole incident. They suspected that the boy might have taken drugs, and they lodged a complaint against innocent people, and the police released them for lack of evidence. If at all they have seen the African give him drugs, why didn't they arrest them on the spot? This is a problem in this country, and there are few police officers who has come up to address this problem, but the system has failed to support them. Like, for example, in Bangalore, for the last 3 years, when there was an attack against the Tanzanians, we had officers like Sudhakar Rao. He came down and tried to educate the society. What happened is his work was not recognized. Simply, he was transferred to another place. And look at Bangalore. The thing is, we must find a solution to this. It's called a spade a spade. It is racism, and it is against African people, and they're bashing them for no reason. How would you now look at the boy in the hospital? The government has to come for a way of compensating whoever is being beaten.
Yes.
What about his life? What is going to happen to him? We must call a spade a spade. If you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you are sick, and you say, no, I'm not sick, this is because of cough, and you start to prescribe to name the disease without allowing the doctor to tell you that this is the disease you suffer from, you will never get medicine to treat that disease.
Yes.
We are all shocked.
Let's accept we have a problem.
In this country, we are not here to criticize. We are here to find a solution. Why the government doesn't work with us? We have solutions. We have developed certain models which we can use around. In Bangalore, we used to educate the public. We used to educate the police. That is why there was peace. But all the officers would actually got the idea and came out with a desire to really create a change in the society, to sensitize others. Nobody recognized them. They were removed from areas where the Africans are. And look at what is happening. We need a solution.
Nagaraj Yadav.
We need a solution.
Right. Nagaraj Yadav, representing the Congress Party and the city of Bangalore. Do you want to respond to what Bosco just said?
I was listening to him. But first thing I want to answer a question that is India is going to become a racist country or something like that. This I definitely don't agree. India can never be called as a racist country. India is such a country which accepts everybody from this world, and we respect every individual, every human being in this country, whoever comes to study or to job. There is no question of calling India as a racist country at any point of a time. As an Indian, as I'm also sitting in Bangalore, I've seen such crimes that also happened in the past in Bangalore, that we definitely don't call it a racist problem, because these are all local issues which is happening, where the students coming from other countries also should realize they have come to a country and they should also be cordial with other people also, like brothers and sisters. They take up the issues which are not connected to them. They'll try to take up the quarrel with the local people.
What do you mean?
And these are the issues happening. And we condemn the act, what has happened now.
No, give us examples. What do you mean? What are these local issues that you're talking about? What are these local issues you're talking about, Mr. Nagaraj Yadav?
That these guys who come to study, they come for a purpose of studying. They exactly don't do that. They get involved in so many activities by cheating people, by telling I'll get them jobs in abroad, by selling drugs. All these are illegal activities in India. But now I'm not justifying the crime what has happened.
You are justifying
the crime what has happened. Nobody can accept the crime against
what you did just now was justify the crime that happened.
White. But this is not happened because he's a Nigerian. But this has happened because there is a group of people who are, most of the students who come to India for a purpose of studying. But they keep getting indulged in so many activities.
Mr. Nagaraj Yadav, can you tell me all of the nationalities of Africans who are in Bangalore right now, other than Nigerians, are the people from other countries?
There are a group of people.
No, can you tell me which other countries are...
Many of the people are getting involved with this because when they come, they want to make easy money by doing some drugs business and nothing like that.
Mr. Nagaraj Yadav, you are illustrating and proving to us the racism that we brought up in the beginning of the show. I want to understand from you, other than Nigerians, do you know of any other African nationality that is in Bangalore right now? Can you tell us names of other African nationalities that are in Bangalore right now? Are there people from other countries other than Nigeria?
No, there are so many people are there. But the issue is comes here.
Which countries are they from?
Who come to Bangalore or any part of the city, they forget what purpose they come from.
No, which countries are they from? You said there are other people also who are not Nigerian. Which countries are they from? Can you tell us the names of those countries?
And they should not get involved with these things. They come for a purpose. If they come for a purpose, what is the purpose they come for? If they do that kind of a job, no local guys will attack them.
So are you telling me, Nagaraj Yadav, that you have personally investigated every case of every African student in the city of Bangalore, and you know that every last one of them is indulging in what you call extra activities other than their college education, and hence they have picked fights with the locals, and hence they have gotten beaten up? Is it fair for you to make such a sweeping, generalizing statement? If that is not racism, Mr. Nagaraj Yadav, I don't know what is.
No, I will not justify. I will not justify what has happened. I will not justify even Indians taking law into their hands. I don't justify at all. The issue have come is to find a solution for the problem is that the students who come from abroad to study, they should also know that they come to study. They should also understand.
I'm sure it says so on their visas, Mr. Nagaraj Yadav. No. Vikram Singh, I think this is symptomatic of the problem that we're talking about. And the problem is racism.
Absolutely. Faye, I would just like everybody's forbearance for 2 minutes. What Mr. Nagaraj is saying, it's my painful duty to contradict it. These are sweeping generalizations that are absolutely irrational. My university, Noida International University, where I'm working for the last 7 years as Pro-Chancellor, we have students from 25 countries. And my biggest achievement is not that I have had PhD students who have got the PhD.
I'm not saying all the students.
Mr. Nagaraj, if I may. Mr.
Nagaraj Yadav, you made your point repeatedly. Please allow Vikram Singh to speak.
Wild allegations do not serve our purpose at all. And it is said, let him cast the first stone who has not sinned before. You said that I do not condemn, I do not condone mob violence, but we have to condemn it. We have to condemn it. We do not accept it is half of the story. We have to condemn mob violence. We have to condemn mob taking law into their own hands. The ability to speak English is an excellent level finder, but the color of my skin is nobody's business, and nobody can treat me differently because I have a different color of skin or the size of my eyes or my cheekbones. They are not sufficient reasons for me to be discriminated against. We are so harsh on our African students, what to talk of our Northeast students and what to talk of our South Indian students. Delhi has ghettos of Bengalis, of African students, and of other students of Indian nationalities of Northeast, etc. Are we doing a service to ourselves? By sweeping this problem underneath the carpet, we do not solve the issues at all. And I would ask a counter question. If there is mob violence and we are mute spectators, if this is not hate crime, then what is? If we selectively go and raid houses of our African students, if this is not hate crime, then what is? If we have a passive district administration that does not react in time, and look the other way, if this is not passive crime, if this is not hate crime, then what is? Now I would expect the district administration to be extremely proactive, taken action under 116 and 117 of the CRPC, preventive arrests, and to have arrested just 7 out of the 1200 accused. The mob does not collect in a minute. It takes about a couple of hours for a mob to collect to the level of 1200 people and to become so violent. And there's a free-for-all for almost 3 hours. What preventive action did the police do? Now, the district magistrate, Mr. N.P. Singh, now Dharmendra and Sujata, they have done a good job. But I wish there had been a more proactive effort and confidence-building measures. I would still say tomorrow onwards, there should be confidence-building measures, flag marches, door-to-door surveys, and arrest of all the accused. If we really want to instill a sense of confidence, we talk of Atith Devo Bhav.
Yes.
We talk of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, as you had the ticker showed Faye. Naturally, how do we feel when one of its sons and daughters is roughed up in US or Canada
Absolutely.
or Australia or New Zealand? How do we feel? Please see that they're also sons and daughters of people and they are in our charge. It is our duty to protect and safeguard their dignity and to ensure they have a safe, steady environment. And if we don't, we are failing ourselves.
Vikram Singh, I'm going to ask you this question again.
Of the East.
Vikram Singh,
Please.
Is India a racist country?
I would say that I cannot give a very emphatic no to that. I think I am very unsure and I would take time before I say that I cannot give an emphatic answer to that in the sense that I have to introspect and say I am in two minds whether to say yes or no. It will neither be a yes, it will neither be a no, but I wish I could say an emphatic no. We are not a racist country, but I cannot say that. I don't have the moral strength to say that no.
You know, I want to ask Mr. Suradkar this, as a former IPS officer, sir, how often have you seen racial profiling in our system where the police makes up its mind about someone based on the color of their skin and based on their community or where they've come from?
It's not only the color, there are so many other factors. As you see, the incident speaks for itself. We need not go whether it's racial or not, because the facts as are very obvious. So we need not comment on that. The very fact that police were biased, they have not taken fair and impartial action. It speaks for itself. Why the neighboring students were picked up when they had nothing to do with that drug peddling?
Yes.
What is expected of police after all, that police must take fair action. Say, people who are dealing in drugs, yes, they must be punished quickly. There cannot be two opinions about it. But the way the innocents are being beaten up, hauled up, locked up, and the mob is allowed to act as they like, where are we leading to? And this is not an isolated incident. This is happening repeatedly. Doctors are being attacked, policemen are being attacked. So there is no end to it. So unless we establish rule of law, now all the 300, I'm sure they'll get bail.
If they're all picked up. They've only been arrested 7 out of 300.
Forget about picking up all the 300. Handful of them will be picked up. They will all get off easily. They will not suffer. Unless they are made to suffer severely and quickly, I think it's not going to have any impact.
There's also, the police is going to rely on the fact that public memory is short and that everyone will forget about this and move on with their lives, and then there's not going to be any pressure on them to keep this investigation up. Swapnil?
Yes, you know, I'll endorse some of the views of DGP Vikram Singh. I entirely agree with him. There are a few things that I would like to point out. I do not know about the preventive action under 116, 117 about, you know, preventing a mob from gathering together, because I cannot presume that they're going to beat up someone. That's one. Two, I would also want a situation where I would want instances of the fact that where other drug peddlers, local drug peddlers, have been beaten up. The fact that they haven't been beaten up for peddling drugs, if someone died because of drug overdose, is clearly smacks of racism. So this is very clear. Thirdly, because of the legislative laxity, we are not having enough laws on hate crimes. Look at the United States.
Yes.
They've got violent...
But you know what, Swapnil?
Yeah.
We've had both representatives of the BJP and the Congress flatly disagree with the fact that there is any sort of racism in our system. How will we have laws against this sort of profiling if we don't acknowledge the fact that we have a problem to begin with?
The BJP and the Congress need to look at the very clear instance. There's so many debates that have been held on the media channels lately in the past year about uniform civil code. That itself tells me that there is so much racism inbuilt in our system, in our subconscious minds, at all forms of a level. We are racist against women. We are racist against the minority community. We are racist against people from the Northeast. We are racist against a lot of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. So, we've got so many ameliorative provisions to ensure that these kind of racism, this is nothing but racism, and that it doesn't take place. Just as I was drawing the example of the United States, they have enacted legislations to ensure that since it's a melting pot of the world, they've ensured legislations to ensure that this kind of an act, if it does take place, is meted out with severe justice. One is the Violent Crime Control and Prevention Act of 1994, and the latest one is the Hate Crimes Act signed by Obama in 2009. There are these two legislations. Do we have any legislation as such? We don't. We only rely on 153 of IPC to ensure that any promotion of religious disharmony, religious, racial, and primarily it tends in favor of religious disharmony. Racial is just one word that has been used. And I don't know in what context is the racial word used in IPC. Maybe then I would extrapolate it to any nationality issues such as this kind of a situation. So if we need legislations, we need then the administration to ensure that legislations of this nature are followed. Only then can we become a global powerhouse. Just having economic brilliance, yes, or providing for the poor and certain other measures that we have taken to ensure that that the country becomes economically strong is not enough. I want the foreigners to come and work in my country, and they need to be safe.
In fact, Swapnil made an excellent point. For those of us who have family members and children who are studying overseas right now as students, you should be proud of the fact that our country's educational institutions have reached a point where people from other countries want to come here and they want to study. But these are also children. They have parents back home. How can you possibly find yourself in a position where you're discriminating against them and saying that they've forgotten the fact that they're here to study and they're indulging in other activities? That is plain simple racist. And if you're watching at home and you think, even for a second, that India is not racist, I want to just remind you of these cases, and these cases are only 2013 onwards. We haven't gone into the complete history, but February 2016, a 21-year-old Tanzanian woman was attacked in Bangalore. They beat her, they tore off her shirt, and they set her car on fire. A student in May 2016 from the Democratic Republic of Congo was beaten by a group of Indian men after an argument in Delhi. September 2014, 3 male students were attacked by a mob in Delhi for allegedly catcalling women. Is that how we deal with men, with Indian men who catcall women? Do we beat them up mercilessly? We should ask if there's a difference in that answer, then that is racism. A Ugandan woman was molested during a raid on drug and prostitution rackets in Delhi. A 36-year-old Nigerian man was attacked and hacked to death in Goa. A man was attacked by 7 men in Punjab and hospitalized and went into a coma after an argument in April 2013. This is the image we're setting out for the rest of the world. We are a racist country. We have to accept we have a problem. And it's only then that we can find solutions. Bosco, what are the solutions that you've recommended to the government in Bangalore and to the police in Bangalore?
Well, the solutions we have got, you see, for the past officers which we heard, I'm sorry to say this, like we had the additional commissioner, Shekhar Rani, and we had Santish Kumar and Badrinath, the former ACP of Banaswadi police station, and a few inspectors. We had formed up an approach. In this approach, we were sensitizing the community and sensitizing the African community as well. And what they have opened the doors, and the police had shown that they don't have any partiality between the Indian and the African. You could go to a police station, you are welcomed, you are given tea, you are given water, even if you're coming to lodge a complaint. And we have seen the police working in Bangalore rescuing African students who were trapped up in fake colleges. We have seen the police acting when Africans are being attacked. But unfortunately, sorry to say so, we wrote a letter to the government saying that, look, we have an approach, we have a plan in making, we are desensitizing the people. It's not a one-day job, it's not a one-time job, it's not 1 month kind of thing. You please, these particular officers, please leave them the way until we complete this project. In fact, we were intending to make Bangalore a model all over the country. But unfortunately, all our cries, all our petitions went unheard. So we need to sensitize the Indian community, because the Indian community thinks that only foreigners in this country, only the black people. When they go to raid houses, they have never gone to an American house. They have never gone to a Japanese house. They have never gone to anybody with a white skin. They will never go there. They will go to only where Africans stay. Because now look at what is happening in Bangalore. Many landlords have already sealed off. They don't give Africans houses. They just said, black, Kenya, Tanzania, Nigeria, no house. Let us go to the issue of the drug. Who is manufacturing the drugs? These Africans, they don't have factories here. Why the government doesn't go to the manufacturer? The Africans are just here, pendulous, maybe selling to get something to eat. What about those who are manufacturing it? Where are they? When you look at the Africans who are committing crimes in this country, there is no African who will commit a crime without an Indian involved. When they transfer the money on the account, it goes on an Indian account. An Indian is left, African is taken to jail. You see, what we are looking at is a way how this problem could be solved. One, by sensitizing the community. Two, a sensitive approach. We have to admit, if we don't admit that we don't have a problem.
Right. Bosco, Swapnil, come in, and then I want to bring in Nagaraj Yadav, who represents the government in Bangalore.
I mean, I'm, the usual eloquence of DGP Vikram Singh, and with his years of distilled wisdom and his vast experience, and his being the pro-chancellor of a university, and, his answer to your question, to a very direct question, that is it a racist country, and his, sort of discomfiture at answering that question itself rings a bell and raises an alarm bell that, we are not very open country when it comes to foreigners. And it is an eye-opener as far as this kind of a thing is concerned, that when it comes from such a senior person, then I think I would, as a legislature, I would like to take very, very serious notice of this and ensure that some sort of legislation does take place. I mean, we have so many legislations, so many OTOs legislations, and so many absurd acts that are there still standing on the statute books. I think one more, which would be of a more
what would be the nature of this legislation?
Yeah, something like Hate Crimes Act or something like that. I want to bring specifically define all these things. What is hate crime? Then I want to provide penalties. Faye, in the United States, there is a United States Sentencing Commission whose sole job is to ensure that the penalties that are there on the statute books for murder, rape, kidnapping, etc., hate crimes, and especially the Violent Crime Control Act that I mentioned, that mandates it to increase the penalties in a governed scenario, in the scenario as and when, if the hate crimes keep on perpetuating, or if they keep on increasing. So do we have something like that? We don't even have. We have an 1860 Indian Penal Code, which we have rehashed it a couple of times. I think that is not enough. We need to have more legislations. I think the criminal justice system in this country needs a major overhaul as far as this aspect is concerned. We've got, I think, sufficient legislations against crimes against women and children, etc. But
Nagaraj Yadav representing the government in Karnataka. If there was a system being put in place by Bosco, who is legal advisor to the Association of Students of Africa, why was it stopped?
No. Here, what has happened here is, as Mr. Bosco was saying, I have seen in Bangalore that so many events have been taken place like this. Basically today, Noida, what has happened, Congress party condemns what has happened. No doubt about it. But we can't say this event has happened and this has to be called, the country has to be called a racist country. This I don't agree. Because the issue has come now, as Mr. Bosco has raised it, saying that Indians are not ready to give the houses to these people. Why are they not giving? They should relook at it what they are doing. Not all the Nigerians or not all the foreigners are misbehaving or doing wrong things. There are some people which are really doing something wrong which is not acceptable. I only request the people who are coming to India for purpose of studying, they should concentrate on those things, they should join hands with the local people.
Deport them. Deport them. Why beat them
what
up?
they was come for. But now I'm telling you, it is not question of only because they're blacks they're beating up. The circumstances what has been created by those people who are coming here, which is not acceptable. We don't accept these hate crimes at all. We condemn this particular act what has happened in Noida or in Bangalore. But now what I'm saying is that the Nigerian people or any other people who come here.
Mr. Nagaraj Yadav, what are these circumstances that you're talking about?
I'm telling you, now today, see, in Bangalore, so many times instances happened. Mr. Bosco, the legal advisor, has told that they are not getting the houses to live here. Why they are not giving? We should really think about it. No, not because they are blacks, because of their behavior, because of their involvement in wrong things.
No, hang on. Are you telling me that every landlord in Bangalore knows of every involvement and every behavior, or all behaviors of all African students?
Madam,
isn't that a prejudice?
No, I only request. No, I'm not saying don't generalize it. Don't generalize these things. There are few elements who are doing this which is not acceptable, which is creating a huge problem in the country, unpleasant things, which will not endorse these things.
Mr. Suradkar, tell me something.
Congress party
in your one second. Let's listen to this answer. Let's listen to this answer. Mr. Suradkar, tell me something. In your entire career as an IPS officer, if we consider how many students, let's bottle it down to students. How many students indulge in illegal activities? How many of those students, when you were arrested, were Indian in comparison to how many African nationals?
Not many, firstly, not many. And if you are open and willing to listen to students, they are very cooperative.
So this
once I got the information which even the IB could not collect. And it's just because I had good relations with the students. Student is a force which, if properly handled, these issues can be solved. They are not very difficult issues.
This prejudice.
This prejudice has to be removed.
Do you agree that it is a prejudice?
There is no doubt about it.
That Mr. Nagaraj Yadav is saying that students are not given homes in Bangalore because they are indulging in activities that make them unsafe.
Again, I will say the perception, the impression which is being created by so many. So this wrong impression has to be removed. And I think they were doing a good job. That they were taking into consideration views of both. They were educating Indians as well as the students. So it has to be on both sides. So I believe if both sides take it up.
And let's be honest also, Mr. Suradkar, law enforcers are not immune to racism in any way.
There's no doubt
about it. African nationals are always, like Bosco pointed out, the first to be picked up in any cases if they're found in that neighborhood.
So we need good police. And how would we get good police? We'll have to get rid of. And it's not only police. The lawyers, the judges, and who are not doing the job properly. Pardon my saying so.
No, it's fine.
But unless we do that, even for that media, see, let's introspect ourselves and do the right thing and come together. All of us come together. This is not a very difficult question to say problem which cannot be surmounted. It can be, provided the policemen who are doing a good job are allowed to function.
Vikram Singh, you, I understand, work with a lot of African students who attend the university that you are part of. How often do you find them afraid, or how often do they have experiences that make them afraid of their surroundings in India?
Very often. I would be dishonest if I were to say that everything is hunky and dory and they are as good as being at home. It is not that. It takes all that I have to reassure them. It takes all that I have to say that I will use all my influence to see that you are safe. When you go back to your homes from the university, you'll land up safe and nothing is going to happen to you. Your dignity will be safeguarded. They love me so much that they address me, and it is my proud moment to say that they address me as dad. Very seldom did they call me Professor Vikram Singh, they call me as dad, and this is the biggest reward that I can get. But it takes all that you have. As Mr. Suradkar has said, it takes introspection, it takes that you have to be honest at heart, and then perhaps when you put your foot forward. But I wish all of us, especially the law enforcement agencies, had a sense of fairness when they did. To the point Mr. Kothari said, sir,
give us examples of what are these instances of everyday racism that these students encounter so that people back home can understand what we're talking about.
My students are shortchanged. They go to the police station under some pretext or the other of not following the language, not taking the application in English, and then saying that you bring it in Hindi, whereas the law says that you can bring it in any language. It is for the police station to translate it. Then I would say that a sense of decorum prevents me from using the names that they are called by the autowalas or at the police station. I'm sure Bosco would understand, and I will stop at that. At the same time, the differential treatment given by the shopkeepers, a sense that you come next only after the locals come. And that is why, in fact, I would fault the law enforcement agencies to Mr. Swapnil, sir, that this mob did not collect overnight. This was simmering for 3 days, 72 hours. And the police could have anticipated and some preventive action could have been taken. But that was not taken. The follow-up was equally lethargic. It was not as swift and professional as one would have expected it to be. The first aid provided to our African students was also not very prompt. We have woken up after the incident when Siddharth Singh ji has spoken, when Sushma Swaraj ji has spoken, the SSP and the DM called the meeting. Well, yes, I do hope nothing untoward happens tomorrow. But Faye, let me tell you, I'd be very honest with you, everything is not hunky and dory.
In fact,
are not
Vikram
treating our African students fairly.
Let me point out to you the footage that we're playing right now. Swapnil, the footage on your screen. This is the mall in which these two young men were attacked. You can see them on the floor of that mall. You can see the police walking around them and not even picking them up. They're being just allowed to lie there. There's no first aid. There's no ambulance. Nothing is being done to help them. The police are just walking around them and doing absolutely nothing. This proves very clearly what Vikram Singh was saying, that there was no help given, that this is not how the police would treat a case if the victims were Indian nationals.
Yes, and I completely endorse your viewpoint, sir, Vikram Singh, sir, that this is administrative apathy at its worst. If and this is something which box and rather begs for a lot of introspection. And the alacrity with which the police have behaved here is something which merits a lot of intervention by the higher ups. Now, the preventive action that you mentioned, with due respect, sir, I still beg to disagree because I do not know what action you're talking about. I don't think that I can arrest anybody as a preventive arrest, or I think I need to keep I need to keep a bigger watch there. And, the last thing, I personally feel that I doubt very much that the police would have anticipated such kind of a beating up of two Nigerian nationals there. I think it seems to be that the people who beat them up were waiting for an opportunity to beat them and oust them out from this country. So this is something which really needs a lot of...
They were holding placards saying send them back home.
Correct. Okay. So all right. Well, then in that case...
There was a protest where these people were holding up placards saying arrest the Nigerians, send them back home.
Then I agree with you, Vikram Singh, sir. I did not know about this. Then that is something which should have been easily anticipated, that the mob violence was in store. So I did not know about this placard thing. So that's the reason why I mentioned what I mentioned. So this is something, and I feel that there has to be justice meted out in this case, impromptu, as fast as possible for the UP government and for our Indian government, and right up to the Prime Minister. I think this is something which needs to be taken, take notice of. And because, as Martin Luther King said, that true peace is not absence of tension, but presence of justice.
Mr. Suradkar, I want to play that footage one more time of the police walking around those two injured victims. Is this how the police are supposed to behave in a case of assault or mob violence?
I will say no. Police are expected to take action, and firm action, fair and impartial, and unless police do that, there will be no scare. Nobody will be scared of police. Today what is happening, nobody is scared of police.
Because of this?
Naturally, why should they be scared of police? Because they know they can get away with it. Police will do nothing. They are confident of it.
There's no sense of urgency. There's no sense of, in any way communicating the importance of the gravity of the situation from the police here. They're just simply walking around.
That's what I'm saying, that police must act. And
Ma'am,
as
can I come in, please?
Mr. Vikram Singh has rightly pointed out, preemptive action could have been taken very easily because it was known what was happening, what was simmering, what was being pursued.
Nagaraj Yadav?
That means the police has tacitly endorsed it.
Yeah. See, this particular, after seeing this visual, I say the district authorities are completely failed. Law and order is completely collapsed. Whatever has happened there should not be acceptable. The government should intervene strongly, and the Prime Minister of the country should intervene. It's a matter of the country's name comes in place. Today, that particular act, after seeing that instance, it is not at all acceptable to any human being in any part of the country. This, everybody should condemn it, and the persons who are involved in this should be definitely put behind the bars. No doubt about it, because it is totally inhuman, whether it's African, whether it's Indian. We should not accept these things, and it's totally inhuman. I only say, at least now the UP Chief Minister and the Prime Minister intervenes in between and put the law and order in place. It's utter failure of the district administration, utter failure of the SP of that particular district. He should be suspended immediately, I feel, this particular time.
Mr. Nagaraj Yadav, only in this particular case, but what about all of the other cases that we've witnessed across the country?
See, every case, that is what I'm trying to say, every case should not be generalized. In this case, innocent people who had gone for shopping has been attacked, which should be condemned, no doubt about it. But in some cases, where these people also get involved, there we should also look at the matter in a different angle. Because here what has happened, in this particular mall, they have gone for a shopping, and these people have gone, mob has gone and attacked them for no reason of their involvement in any of the crime in this particular case. That is why after seeing the visual, I'll see that this totally, and police is going around the bodies there without taking them for a first aid or for a hospital, which is not acceptable to Indians.
All right. I have a few phone calls right now. Dr. Amrut is on the phone line from Navi Mumbai. Dr. Amrut, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
My question is...
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Yes.
Going on. Yeah. Hi, madam. I fully agree with Nagaraj Yadav.
Okay.
I fully agree with Nagaraj Yadav. But a very simple thing I want to bring to your notice.
Which is?
Nagaraj Yadav, for the reason that those students who are seeking admission in India or in Noida University or any other university, is it not the university's prima facie responsibility to provide the accommodation to the students? So all those African students or any other students may not get this opportunity to go and search for the accommodation, because it becomes the prime responsibility of the universities itself. They should provide with the accommodation, so that these Nigerian students, because see, we are not racist. That is why.
In fact, I understand what you're saying, but what you're talking about then is segregating them from society even further. So then you are not forced to rent out apartments to them. I think that's again symptomatic of the problem that we're talking about. Sharad is on the phone line from Bangalore. Sharad, go ahead. Sharad?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Sharad. Go ahead.
Hello?
Sharad, can you hear me?
Hello?
We're going to move on from that. Bosco, you've heard the things that most of the members of the panel have to say. I want to understand from you, if you were to use this platform today to speak to Indian citizens who are watching tonight, to appeal to them, to perhaps understand the problems that African nationals, African students are facing right now, what would you say?
Well, I would say, first of all, I would like to give a message to the law enforcement officer. We can understand that among the law enforcement officers, there are some who are supporting such acts of violence. For example, if I look at the footage, I feel like crying. Why would the police simply walk around someone who is dying? It simply means indirectly he supports the act. Secondly, I appeal to the Indians not to go for the idea of segregating the students. If you segregate the Africans from the Indian, it simply means you have succumbed to the demands of the society. So I appeal to the Indian community that the Africans who are here, they may come to study, others may come for some other business. That it is not all of them that they are bad. It is not that all of them, they're dealing in drugs. Those who are dealing in drugs, they're not students. We hear whenever there is an incident, they will say, oh, some are caught in drugs. Those are not students. Those are coming for some other things. For example, you arrest 5 Africans and you say, all of them. Generalization should not be applied in such circumstances. We are talking about attacking innocent people, and then you bring in overstay, you bring in drugs, you bring in sexy work, you bring all these things and pile it on innocent people, trying to paint a picture telling the public that you are right to attack them. That should not happen. When any incident happens, let us focus. Let us deal with the problem the way it is. And the police should use the ideology which the additional commissioner of Bangalore East had started, which is actually...
Bosco, I have a very quick question for you. Bosco, I have a very quick question for you. There were 2 attacks that happened on African students in the city of Bangalore in the last year. Have there been any convictions? Have those cases moved? Have people been arrested? Have the police investigated those cases?
Actually, I would say that sending the public to jail is as good as useless, because the cases will never end. Secondly, they will come back and do the same thing on the street. We have to use the idea of sensitizing the public, educating the Indians as well as Africans, that when you come to study, finish the purpose what you came for and go home. Secondly, Indians, if they arrest 1 African, don't generalize everyone, because it's not that everyone is involved in the same crime. For example, in committing crimes, let me finish. Not that everyone is involved in committing all these crimes. What has happened in Noida, it is really a shameful act. And even what they suspected that the Africans have given drugs, the police has found no evidence. Still they go ahead and beat the Africans. I wish if that was an American who is suspected, whether he would have been beaten Americans. My point is, we need now what we need, the message we have to the Indian government. Let the Indian government separate the Africans from the foreigners and say foreigners from African nations, not mixing us. Because when they mix along with the British and the white, here we are like a backward people. We're from third world people. Third world nations.
Now, Bosco, I think
we consider India as our big brother's country. Yes, we must live peacefully in the country. Yes,
Bosco, 1 second.
Bosco, if you consider us to be your big brothers, then I think you need to...
Sir, I would like to talk to him. 1 minute.
The point we are making here is...
Yes, we heard you, Bosco, we heard you. Swapnil, go ahead very quickly.
Yeah, Bosco, we heard you. If you consider us big brothers, then take this advice from a big brother, as a big brother national of this country, that I don't think the kind of discrimination that you're asking us to segregate the African nationals from the rest of the foreigners, it is in fact, it will worsen the problem, it will vilify the problem rather than mollify it. That is one. 2, there are 2 actions, 2 things, 2 kinds of approach that you need to have. The short-term approach would be to arrest these people and to send them to jail. That is the short-term thing. And the long-term, that what you are asking to sensitize the Indian nationals about Africans into, that is something which you're talking of, a change of mindset. Change of mindset takes a long, long time. We are independent in 70 years. In this country since we adopted the constitution, but I don't think we've progressed in certain aspects. We still discriminate against women, we still discriminate against certain minority communities, we still discriminate against scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. So that is going to take us a long, long time for that to happen, and to treat the African nationals that equally as much as what you're expecting.
Right. But unfortunately, I've run out of time on this debate. I have to wrap this up here. But it is true. One of these things that everybody has talked about, that we do have a problem. And just ask yourself this question at home. When you see an African national cross the street in front of you, what are you thinking? And then consider the fact that we might have a problem in this country. Now consider the fact that if the law enforcement is thinking the same thing, people in power, people who have the ability to rent homes, people who have the ability to provide services, if they are all thinking the same thing, then there's a serious problem that we need to address as a country. We need to address as a country that rightfully wants to be the big brother in our international neighborhood. We need to address these problems, and we need to, in order to address them, acknowledge the fact that we have a problem. And of course, the one solution for prejudice is to always get to know someone from that community. Get to know an African national personally. You'll be surprised that they're exactly like you are. And if that's something that we can all do, perhaps we can then kill the prejudice over a period of time. But the immediate solution will be to bring those who beat up those young men immediately to the book and to send a very, very clear signal that we won't stand for this, because we are a country that's welcoming and we are a country that believes our guests are a version of our gods. Thanks for watching.